Hey everyone, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Brenda. Brenda's question is short and sweet, but very deep. She says, I've gained many insights with this new paradigm, but I'm still struggling with the concept that there is no self. I sense that this may be the key to really getting it, she says, and I just can't quite feel what it means. So I love this question. Again, short and sweet, but a pretty big one. So the first thing I really want to tell you, Brenda, is it just leaps out at the page at me. I sense that this may be the key to really getting it. And I only want to point that out because, oh my gosh, if that's not what minds do. Minds are like, ooh, everyone else seems to know what this means, or this has opened up stuff for them. Like, it must be holding me back, or that must be the key. And this no self thing is a big topic. It's a great thing to see a lot around, and I think you're right in that it has been really huge for a lot of people. But I really want you to not hold it out as the key, and that even getting it, getting what? Like, honestly, I know we listen to this stuff because we want to see things in a deeper way, and then our mind jumps in and talks about all the stuff that'll be different when we really get it. But just kind of be aware of that for everyone listening. Be aware of that. We already have everything we're trying to get. And the more we're in this little like getting it, and there's something in my way, and that must be the key, and I should understand it, it just creates a lot of frustration, a lot of disappointment, and just keeps our mind busy and kind of keeps us away from realizing what's right beneath our noses all the time. So, been there. I talk with people every single day who are there, so I just want to start with that. So, in this thing about no self, again, it has been a really big insight for many people, and and for some not so much. And it doesn't like anything, sometimes we see something and it just means something for us personally. It just has a personal truth or relevance that wakes something up in us. And other times that exact same thing just falls flat for someone else. It just doesn't land for them. So so just keep that in mind. Everyone is different. So the idea of there being no self, as you say, I'm struggling with the concept that there is no self. Um, I guess I'll just say a little bit about how it looks to me, and you can see what this does for you, if anything. Um, is that the whole idea of me and I is a thought. It's an idea, right? Now, it's an idea. This is tough. This is tough sometimes because it's an idea that every single human being on the face of this planet, always and forever, who has ever lived, has been sort of conditioned into. I mean, even the way that things look to us and the way that our brain works, it's not just conditioning like people have told us, oh, you're separate and those people are different and there's all these separate individuals. For sure, that's how life looks, and it's what's been communicated, and that's how we go about our days. And it's true on some level. On some level, there's a physical body that appears to be separate from your physical body and everyone else's physical body. So on some level, there's that, and that's where we've camped out as a species, like all of us. But it's not just a message we've been told. It's also kind of how our brain works. Our brain creates these experiences of separation, where again, you look different from me, and we can talk about what I think, we can talk about what you think. There's all this separation. I'm separate from my microphone, you're separate from the table that you're sitting at. Like, everything looks that way. Again, not just because of what our parents have told us or because of what a society has told us, but because of how our brain works. So when things are like that, you kind of have to assume, I think anyway, like, okay, there's probably good reason for this. Like, I don't think life makes mistakes. So I want to say that it's not that there's something that's gone horribly wrong here, that we all live feeling really separate, but truly we're not. I think it has to be that way. We have to say, okay, there's something to this, given that this is how life looks for all of us. So when people talk about there being no separate self, though, what we're really pointing toward is that beyond this perceptual, psychological, physical level where things look and feel very separate. And by the way, even there, we know that we're seeing an illusion. So we know that when you really look at something solid, like this pen, it's not solid. There's all kinds of little molecules and things dancing very close together that give it the appearance of being this solid thing. So even at that sort of level of science, we know what we see is a generalized view of things. It's not the truth of what it is. It's illusory in some ways. Well, what if that's kind of also what's going on with all of us? So there's one energy, there's one consciousness. None of the words are good, so just pick the bad word you like. There's one awareness, one consciousness, one energy that is everything, that is behind, and that everything is made of, and that truly is everything. This is what people talk about when we talk about this oneness, this shared identity, this lack of separation, this complete oneness with everything and everyone, this non-duality. It's all one thing. And as human beings with a brain, we have a machine in our head that creates separation, that sees separation, that then labels it and tells stories about it. So I talk about this in my new book, Just a Thought. We can see scientifically where the left brain goes about creating a self. It says, here's me, and here are my boundaries, and there's you, and there are yours, and then it gives all. See, it doesn't stop there. It won't just make things separate just for the sake of them being separate. As soon as our brain calls things separate, it wants to bolster its story and really give us this really great experience. So if you're separate from me and we're separate from everyone else, well, there's got to be more to it than that. What else is different? Well, we have different names. Well, we look different. We sound different. We live in different places. Oh, yeah, we have different personalities. That seems important. Oh, yeah, like maybe we're fundamentally different in other ways. This is all what a brain does. It just creates separation. It sees separation. It tells stories about separation. And it makes it seem very true and real and meaningful. And we human beings tend to live in that level of abstraction. It is just a function of a brain. It is literally just what a brain does. It does not negate the fact that that is a brain telling a story, and at a totally different level of abstraction, at a much lower level of abstraction, it's all one thing. Your brain, my brain, it's all one thing. It's all one energy, creating what looks to be all of this very amazing, beautiful, separate stuff out in the world. So that's just a teeny tiny little corner of this, but I want to really, because we don't have a lot of time to go in this, I want to just say a little bit about why that might matter. Like, who cares, right? Why might it matter? Well, if you think about it, almost everything our mind thinks and sees and makes up, and everything we experience has to do with us, with you, your mind with you, and my mind with me, and everybody else's mind revolves around them. So we don't just tend to like live in life. Now, when our mind is really quiet, we sort of do. You kind of have those feelings sometimes like you aren't in the picture. You're fully in life. Maybe you don't feel like one with everything, but you're just there. You're soaking it in. There are no problems. Life is just unfolding the way it's unfolding. As soon as there's a separate you, and as soon as there's a separate me, again, the chain gets going. All the stuff's, the machine is churning. So it's like, oh, well, if there's a me, here's what should be happening to the me, and here's what shouldn't be happening to the me. And maybe I have a choice in things. And if I have a choice, well, then I made the wrong choice back there, and I better make the right choice later. And everything gets so hard. It gets so difficult. It gets complicated. It gets good and bad. It gets right and wrong. All of that comes in when a brain is all revved up, mind is all turned up, and it's telling stories about all this separation. This is where every single bit of suffering comes from. When you aren't on your mind, Brenda, don't even feel like a separate person who's there, who everything is happening to. When you're just one with life and you're here in the moment, There are no problems. No matter what is happening, there are no problems. It takes a brain telling a story about what shouldn't happen to Brenda to give you an experience of a problem. Again, same with me, same with everyone. So I hope you can kind of start to get a feel for why this matters and why it's so helpful for so many people. Like you say, like to see that there's this, like it looks to me like life just unfolds moment by moment in this completely unending, unstopping, seamless flow of amazing experience. And then we have a brain that jumps in and says, oh, but that shouldn't have happened to the character named Amy or Brenda, you know, like, oh, I like this better. And then all the, and that's beautiful too. Again, I don't want to make it sound like that's a problem, but how incredible to have a sense of that being the function of a brain rather than that being the ultimate truth. What if we are all one? We are all this amazing energy and we get to experience it the way we're experiencing it as a separate you and me and them and all of that, with all the ups and downs and wins and losses and all of that that we get to experience it with, because our brain makes everything look separate and different. But to know that's not the full truth of it, that's not the end of the story, then you get to play this amazing game and be in this amazing experience without it truly looking like a life or death, you know, win or lose game. It's really not, because that's not the full truth of things. So I don't feel like I did a very good job explaining this, Brenda, because first of all, it's so hard to explain, but second of all, I'm trying to do it in like 8 minutes, and it's a big topic, but I hope you can kind of get a feel for why this matters, why it's helpful, and all, but also, honest to God, that it is not like the key that you need to get so that you can get it. I hope that we're all curious about all kinds of things, but don't hold it out like that. Honestly, it hasn't really been for me. It's always been like, well, of course I'm a thought. I'm always changing. How could I not be a thought? Now, I'm not saying I live my life that way, because I live my life as if everything's happening to me the way all humans do. And there's a ton more to see there, but I just want you to know it's not like this one giant insight that's going to fix everything. Nothing is, but it's a really, really cool thing to be curious about, and you're already there, you're already curious, so job done. So thank you for sending the question, Brenda. I hope something I said made some sense on some level. Don't let your head try to figure it out. And yeah, I hope it was helpful. So send your questions, anyone about anything at all, to AskAmy at thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. The fall course begins August 30th, which is in like, what, 2 or 3 weeks? Very, very soon. So I'd love to see you in the school, and send your questions there, and I'll see you back here next Monday. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.